We have a panel coming up that's really exciting, that's focused on building brands in emerging markets. We're going to hear from some global powerhouses, and they'll be introduced by our moderator, who is Merve Ghobrial. Merve is the Chief Commercial Officer at Souk.com. Many of you probably know Souk. It's the largest e-commerce company in the Middle East, North Africa region. It's probably the largest and most well-funded company in the region. It's often referred to as the Amazon.com of MENA. Tiger Global is in Souk, as well as other global investors, including the International Finance Corporation, IFC. So Merve is as I mentioned, is the Chief Commercial Officer. She's been responsible for helping to expand dramatically the product assortment on Souk and also the brands that are represented on the platform. Souk is both a first-party e-commerce company, meaning that they have their own distribution throughout the region, and they're also a marketplace. Merve's got a vast experience across multiple categories. She's introduced everything from consumer electronics to home goods, children's goods, and most recently fashion onto the Souk platform. Prior to Souk, she's been with Souk since 2012, and prior to that, she worked for very large brands, including P&G and Pepsi. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Merve, who will introduce her panel. Merve?
Thank you, Maria. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. So please have a seat. I think, as Maria said, it's true. I've been building profitable brands in emerging markets for the past 20 years, but it's very different now. It's so different. You know, it's different when Singles Day is no longer a day when Chinese people celebrate being single, but it's actually the largest worldwide sale event. You know, it's different when a Saudi woman sitting in Riyadh, who cannot drive, although there's Uber after yesterday's session now, can actually buy anything she wants, when she wants, from her mobile phone. You know, it's different when it's no longer just about opening a store somewhere, but it's about building a logistics system that enables us to actually deliver thousands of ice cream in the middle of a 40-degree day. It's different because e-commerce is in emerging markets. So we know that worldwide, globally, e-commerce will represent 27% of the retail industry. And it's the emerging markets that's leading that growth, leading by China, that is 34% growth. Now, allow me to introduce my panel, because there are a lot of challenges yet in the e-commerce in emerging markets. There are challenges in payment, there are challenges in logistics, but today we're not talking about that. We're talking about a very specific challenge. It's the agreement. It's how do we work between brands, between retailers and distributors, and between e-commerce platforms. Please allow me to introduce my panel. First, Merve Diken. Merve is Associate Sales Director at Procter & Gamble, and she is basically responsible for all the babies of the internet. She'll say that a bit later. Domenico is Chief Commercial Officer of Hokair Group. Hokair is one of the biggest retailers in Saudi Arabia. They actually operate in more than 17 countries, and they own 85 fashion brands. So he's the retailer of our region. And last but not least is Abdo Chalala. Abdo is Head of IT Mobile Division at Samsung Electronics. So let's start with Merve. Merve, globally, P&G, how is e-commerce part of your strategy?
In P&G, what we say is that the consumer is the boss. So basically, we create and developed all the brands and brand experiences to meet the needs of our consumers. So that plays a big part of our strategy. We also want to be very, very close to our consumers as well. So we would like to be where the consumers are today. We would like to know their behaviors, their needs. And when we look at the consumers today, they are very much digitally focused versus what they were a long time ago. So we see them, they're all in the social media, they're on Facebook, YouTube, in all kinds of social media. They are interacting with the friends, they are following the influencers in the world. And they search online and they search about the products and their benefits and choices. And also they shop online as well. So that's why when you combine all of them, what we believe is that we have to be where the consumers are today. And they are very much digitally focused. So in the region that where I am coming from, and I am operating in the Arabian Peninsula, which is the Saudi and the Gulf region, the picture is not different as well. So I would like to share some facts about our region so that the teams, they will understand how the consumers are very much digitally connected in our region as well. Today, when we look at the region, the Arabian Peninsula, the Saudi and the UAE and the Gulf, so 60% of the consumers, 60% of the people, they are at the age, under the age of 25. So we have a very young population in the region, and they are very much digitally focused. And also, when we look at the public facts, we see that those consumers, the internet penetration is super high. So do we know that the internet penetration in UAE, it's 96%. Internet penetration in Saudi, it's 74%. So they're very much connected to internet. And also, Abdo knows this better, but the mobile penetration is very high as well. Today, our consumers, on average in our region, they have 2 phones. They have 2 mobile phones.
One of them has to be Samsung, of course.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And also, there is another fact that's very charming as well, the YouTube. So in Saudi Arabia, the YouTube views per internet user is the highest in the world. There are 90 million YouTube views happening in Saudi Arabia. So when we combine all of those facts, so what we say that we, as a P&G, we would like to be where the consumer is. And our consumer now is in digital, they are digitally online. Focused.
Great. So Abdo, Samsung is a leading global brand, but obviously you are leading the growth of the mobile penetration in our region. And actually electronics and mobile in particular is one of the most developed categories online. How is e-commerce part of your category? And was that a global strategy, and how was it in the e-commerce, in the emerging markets in particular?
Hello, first, good morning, everybody. I come from the Middle East and North Africa region. I'm going to be a bit specific on that. The establishment of, let's say, the e-commerce ecosystem has been quite recent. As Merve was saying, there was a significant increase of digital and mobile penetration on our markets, but also the infrastructure growth for e-commerce overall, and the emergence of sizable e-retailers. Now, ultimately, an e-retailer is a retailer. And as Merve said, we follow the same principle. We want to be where consumers shop and also offer innovation that matters to different types of consumers. And if you look at millennials specifically, which will soon represent 75% of the entire workforce in our region by 2025, they are very active online, and this is where they are. And they have a thirst for news and new products. So being online is extremely important. On top, I think e-tail in general offers a very unique proposition versus your normal brick and mortar stores, which is basically an integration or seamless integration of the brand, consumer and retail ecosystem all in one place. So, and it's measurable. So imagine all the content that Merve was talking about in terms of brand presence, consumer search queries, social platform engagements, e-retailers online. Integrating all this information can allow us to better, let's say, serve the consumer with better offerings, better communication. And as I said, all this is measurable, so you can understand what was the impact of this message, what was the impact of the product offering, and what kind of changes you need to implement. And I think the last point I want to say is we are one of the leading consumer electronics and mobile brands in the world, so it is natural that we are on the digital platform, especially as consumption or e-consumption is moving into mobiles.
I think measurable, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say measurable is definitely something we're finding a lot of brands coming online just to better understand the whole system, and it helps them more in the retail back. Dom, coming from a very traditional retailer, how did you convince Hokair that I'm not your competition? how are you using e-commerce to grow and maybe help you in some of the challenges in Saudi Arabia?
Well, first of all, I mean, what we do, it looks prehistory compared to what Nike has shown. And the main difference that we find is that we are not a vertical retailer like Nike, so we don't have the margin. The first issue that we have is to convince, apart Hokair, the brand partners to basically give us rights for e-commerce in Saudi Arabia and the territory where we have a presence. This is the first and main issue that we are facing at the moment. I don't think that for a brand partner there is any other choice than partner first with us, because we control about 1,800 stores in Saudi Arabia. So, and this is like a valuable and a sizable market already that offers an infrastructure in terms of delivery when there will be the pick and pack in your stores directly. And we want to leverage our stock and the investment that we have done so far in terms of building the infrastructure, building the network, and this is something that nobody can take from us. On the other end, we need a partner, a technology partner, that will help us to leverage this capital that we have been building in these years. On the other end, this is a revenue sharing that what we need to do. We choose to partner with Souk because Souk has built already the infrastructure from the logistic perspective and the traffic. But convincing Hokair and the owners to do this step is convincing that we can make money out of it. And so far, of the 3 major e-tailers that operates in the Middle East, according to my knowledge, nobody is profitable. So you can imagine somebody that comes
Don't
from
say that our investors are in the room, so.
But it's a fact, so it comes as public. So you convince somebody that is used to see a black line and with a positive result,
Yes.
You need to tell him, listen, in the next 3 years, we're going to invest $20 million per year to build our online business, and you're not going to make any money. So you can imagine how tough my role is.
But you will make money on e-commerce.
Eventually. Yeah.
Just zooming back to, I think you're sitting in a very interesting position, actually in the middle between the brand owners, as you call them, the principals, and the e-commerce. How do you manipulate this? How do you go convince the brand to work with the e-commerce? And sometimes the brand themselves are the ones that are pushing you to go online like Nike, or they go on their own. How do you do that? I mean, you have 85 brands. Which brands do you choose? How difficult that whole relationship, this 3-way agreement, how does it work? And how long does it take us?
The nice thing, I'm sitting between 2 brands.
You are sitting between 2 brands,
so,
absolutely, and I'm
so
here.
So you can imagine, and they want the margin, and I want the margin, so somebody has to, give it up. So first of all, we use like a step-by-step approach. We're starting with Gap, Abdo Group, and the Children's Place, 3 brands that we are already in advanced negotiation. And our strategy is, first of all, to start from, let's say, the terminal stock. Terminal stock, it's an opportunity, it will go through flash sales. And so this is already a concept that for the principals and for the owners, it's like safer. And in order to turn to full price sales, that is the only one that will bring any profit to us and to our partners. So we go through a due diligence that will start because the principal have some requests. They want to know why they should give us this right. So we need to convince them that we'll put the infrastructure in terms of merchandising. That is not merchandising what is for you, that is like marketing.
Planning.
Merchandising is like planner allocators that will treat the product that is coming from the principal with the same aspect, with the same attention that we treat in our stores. So there will be one structure dedicated totally to online. This is what normally the principal are looking for. The second thing they're looking for is that we partner with a company, a retailer, that has got the power to penetrate in each house in Saudi Arabia. What is the issue that we are facing? And most probably, I mean, we have been talking about data, but in practice, in Saudi Arabia, there are no street names, there's no house names, there's no numbers. So how do you deliver the product to the customer? This is the first issue. So they use a geolocalization app that now has been developed. There is a mapping of the territory. Because I remember the first talk that I made 3 years ago with some of your competitors. they were saying the time to joy, how do you call it, the moment when you click purchase and you deliver to the customers 27 days. You can imagine you buy fashion that is something that is impulse buying, and you wait 27 days, you will have the time to change your buying 15 times already.
We do second-day delivery.
And this is why the rate of returns is extremely high, from 30 to 35%. And I don't trust anybody that gives me data that are below that percentage. So the first, please. Yeah, you. Well, in electronics, was always in fashion. So the other thing is to identify the categories that for apparel and fashion are important. Everybody's talking about apparel. The only one that is successful there is ASOS, but the other one they're selling is watches, accessories, eyewear. This is what really catch the majority of our quota. Children wear. Why children wear? Because the rate of return is much lower in children wear compared to women wear. So the first thing for us is to partner with somebody that has got the entire supply chain until the last mile delivery. This is a key element. The second part is related to payments. In Saudi Arabia, majority of payments are by cash. Why are by cash? Because getting a credit card, it takes 3 months of salary in the bank in order to get the credit card. And everybody else has got what they call a SPAN machine, or ATM card. So, and whoever does the delivery is not yet organized because the technology was not there. When you deliver to remote area in Saudi Arabia, there is no coverage for a SIM card sometimes, and how do you make an ATM payment? So there are some practical issues that has to be solved in order to improve e-commerce, but definitely the rate at which e-commerce is growing in our category, in our portfolio, it's massive.
Yeah.
So we want to leverage that.
I think, we will have a different session on souk.com that we will talk about the e-payments and the logistics and how we're solving a lot of these ecosystem in Saudi Arabia. But just going back to apparel and clothing, it's because it's the biggest category in retail. And I think, yes, online is not yet there, but it's with cooperations that you are leading where we will grow the category in our region. But just back to Abdo, because mobile online, unlike apparel, is actually quite developed in our region. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with your distributor or the big retailer who comes and says, don't give these online guys? How do you handle this kind of friction?
So overall, we have to look. We have multiple challenges as we integrate the e-commerce channel into our overall go-to-market. So let me start with go-to-market. And in essence, as I said, we need to be where consumers shop, and if consumers are shopping online, then we have to be there. However, in order to avoid any, let's say, challenging dynamics with established partners, we need to create a principle-based go-to-market. And this is applicable both offline and online. So really the same principles in terms of value proposition, branding, merchandising, let's say consumer programs, and elements like these are applicable both offline and online. And this means that we try to smoothen out any conflicts that might happen across any retailers or any new channel. I think the second one is operational and supply chain. So what kind of operational model do we want to have by country when it comes to partnering or working with e-retailers? So that could, you were highlighting point on distributors. So it depends really on the market setup. So there are markets where we can work directly, and there are markets where we can work with our distributor partners. But in essence, it's not very different because our distributor partners follow somehow the same principles that the vendor company does. But really the challenge here is to set up the right operations, the right infrastructure internally, so either internally in our own corporation or with our distributor partners to ensure a smooth overall operation. And I think one last point on the challenges is to create, I would say, a consistent consumer experience online. So we strive to have that in every single store, in brick and mortar store. We also need to have that online. So if you go across big retailers who sell mobiles globally, you see we have a model called shop in shop. So the idea of representing the brand in the right way with the right equities in store in a small area which we call a shop-in-shop. So we are looking into creating or recreating what we call virtual shop-in-shops on online retailers, ensuring that the brand experience for consumers is consistent and superior.
So it's clear when it's the global brand that's really leading that and it's part of the strategy, it's working. Merve, you have tried something a bit different. You have launched an exclusive SKU of diapers lately, only for online. Why did you do that? And do you recommend this as a strategy?
In P&G, we do have a wide product range. And within the wide product range, we have also a wide variety within the product range. So, and this wide range is open to all customers and all channels. But when we look at the e-commerce and the retailers in the e-commerce, what we are looking at that the consumers, what they are expecting from us in this channel. So we're looking at their behaviors, their needs, and what they're expecting from us. For baby care, for instance, we know that the consumer is the baby, actually, the shopper is the mom, and they are very much connected. So they are searching online, they are trying to understand the product benefits, not only for Pampers, for our brands, but for all the baby care items. So they are very much digitally connected. So we are trying to understand what they're expecting from us to bring the right product range, to bring the right product offerings to them. So in that perspective, for instance, when we look at the baby care shoppers, so we are just checking, we have a product range, a wide product range. So we have a Pampers main line, we have a premium line, we have pants. So we are just looking at whether they are expecting from us more offerings on the premium line, because the premium line has a higher representation on online. We're also looking at when they are shopping the premium range or another Pampers product, are they looking at vibes together? Or we're looking at those consumers if they are expecting a bulk size or a small size. So what we are doing is that looking at their choices and what they are asking from us, we are developing the right product ranges and the right strategies together with P&G, our distributor partners, and the retailers in e-commerce, and we are offering them what they're expecting from us.
So you're including your distributor in this particular case so that he doesn't feel that I'm not including that particular SKU.
Yes, because today when we look at what we are doing, what's the role of P&G and what's the role of the distributors? So we as a P&G, we own our brands, okay, and then we want to make sure that we serve to our consumers with the right brand offerings and the right brand experiences. In some markets where we operate through our distributors, and the distributors are also investing in their right resources because this is a very new channel for all of us. So they are investing on the right expertise, the right skills, and the right knowledge in their organization, and also with their right go-to-market model as well. Because the go-to-market model to e-commerce channel might be different than the traditional channel. So it's a joint effort between the brand and the distributor and also the customers in this channel.
That's great. Abdo, again, back to you. There are so many mobiles that have actually launched only online, and sometimes they launch, again, going back to the exclusive model, exclusive mobile only online. What's your experience with that? And is Samsung considering, will it be cost effective for you to consider such a model? So I think it's called direct-to-customer model.
Right. So in reality, we launch a large amount of product innovations every year on a consistent basis. And if you look at brick and mortar stores, it's very challenging to list all the SKUs or all the models that we have launched. Although it is a very strategically important for us to have our complete portfolio. And taking that into consideration, e-retailers become an area where, have a point of difference or an opportunity against brick and mortar stores because they can technically list the entire portfolio. So ideally for us, the entire portfolio, but there are some cases, obviously, unique SKUs are offered by channel or by retailer type, depending on specific criteria. However, I'd like to highlight that it is always important to list our top-selling SKUs because they represent a sizable portion of the consumer, let's say, requirements. But on top of that, another, I would say, key advantage e-retail gives us is the opportunity of cross-selling. So again, with a very large portfolio, most of the sales happen on, let's say, the top-selling SKUs, and there's still a huge amount of ecosystem that can be offered to consumers, and that can be easily done online. So as you purchase your key mobile, let's say S7 Edge, you're offered a significant amount of other, let's say, Samsung products, from accessories to wearables, to Gear VR, etc. And that obviously improves and enhances the consumer experience online and obviously benefits the brand and the retailer.
That's great. Dom, in the past 3 months, I have signed 10 fast fashion brands that are coming only online, that are not going through the retail channel, nor your malls. What do you think of that? Will it work? And why are these fast fashion brands bypassing the retail structure? And are you still going to talk to me after that or not?
Well, if we were not friends, I would tell you good luck. Actually, what I believe, and of course, and it's my personal opinion, is we have built, as I said, 1,800 stores. And the rate, especially in Saudi Arabia, where customers cannot try the garment in the stores because majority of the stores do not have fitting rooms. So what they do, they take the garment, they bring it home, and after 2 days they return. We have created kiosks in every single mall for returns because the rate of returns is very high. So I'm thinking, how a fast fashion brand that is typical, catering most probably to teenagers, they're gonna get garment through you or directly into the Middle East, and then they're gonna receive this garment, and then this garment is gonna be tried at home. It doesn't fit. You don't know anything about how it fits, and then it's gonna be returned. So it's, to me, again, on an impulse buying item, it's something that is very long, very complicated. So today is not a threat. Tomorrow, eventually, it will become a threat. But, you know, when I travel back to Europe, or when I go to the United States, and I can come into a store, and maybe there is a queue at the cashier, and I have the possibility of buying directly in the store and finding my size, and then it's delivered to the cashier. I pick and pack, and I go home without, spending a lot of time in the store. I would love to see this in the Middle East. When is it happening? So this will help you with your fast fashion brands. Today, we continue to trade. Our expectation is to get at least 20% of our entire business coming from e-commerce, because we estimated that our break-even is around $150 to $200 million turnover per year in order to make money out of e-commerce. So I believe also the more brand coming online, the better is for the competition, the better is for the market.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you've actually mentioned something that's very interesting, which is, everyone is talking about omni-channel, multi-channel, one channel, you click and collect at the store. What are your plans to do that? I know you're going to be listing some of your brands on souk.com, but what are your plans to open your own individual e-commerce platform that will allow you to do this click and collect in a very seamless way? And how can you still utilize the e-commerce platform to help you in the logistics back end to do that?
So if you listen to Merve and Abdo, what they said actually is this integration between the retailer, the distributor, and the principal. So this is inevitable, and this is happening. And our approach has to be the one of a three-way partnership. Of course, we will try to have our own online store, because we have 87 brands. So I think nobody else in the Middle East has got this power of creating such a portfolio of brand. So I believe that the marketplace it's inevitable for a company that has got only one brand, and so it needs to partner with a marketplace. Amazon proved that is the business model of the future. So we would like to create a model, but has to be worked because currently the margins or the split of margin is not fair. So we need to have a revenue sharing model that put together the principal, put together ourselves, and put together the technology partner. Technology partner has to be somebody dedicated to that because the capital investment is huge. And if we have to make this investment without having the traffic at the beginning, it will be very difficult for us to build a model that is viable. So we actually, our aim is to partner with Souk for this particular reason.
Abdo, I know you're also doing the same. You're planning on launching your own Samsung e-commerce platform in the region. Again, how are you doing that, and how would we collaborate together?
I mean, Samsung.com is already available in many countries globally. However, in reality, our offering is available much more on other e-retailers. So they would be pure players, retailers.com, people who moved from brick and mortar to online, or even telco operators. So again, we need to look at each retailer, analyze, understand their shopper profile, understand their opportunity, what kind of proposition we can work with together. And in reality, today in the MENA region, we don't have that much opportunity, right? As you know, we are still emerging. Souk is .com is the biggest player in the region, but really there's not many others playing in this universe or in this landscape. So analyzing between .com or any other e-retailer or all is something that we have to look into. But I can give you an example. For example, in India, where e-commerce is quite developed, it's maybe 20% of the entire mobile market. Our go-to-market was Samsung.com, but also being partnering with the 4 top e-retailers in the market.
That's great. Yeah. I actually have a question to Ronnie, who's our CEO and founder. Can someone give him a mic in the audience? Ronnie, just building on Dom and Abdo here, who are basically saying we would partner with the e-commerce platform as long as you guys can provide us with the logistics and operations. What are you doing as CEO of Souk.com, the leading e-commerce platform in our region, to serve these brands?
I mean, initially, we looked at integrating many third-party tools to make sure that the customer journey is intact. But due to lack of addressing, we wanted the geolocation of the customer. Due to lack of credit card penetration, especially in a country like Egypt, we wanted to have the ability to do either cash on delivery or M-Pass, which is where the courier swipes your debit card. So we ended up actually spinning our platform into 3 different businesses. One only focused on payment. Their mission in life is how can we make payment better in the region? And then one is just improved basically e-commerce delivery versus just a logistic company that kind of acts like what we call the hub and spoke model, which is a model developed by Alexander the Great to kind of invade the world. And with Uber and how you do technology, we see you can disrupt that. Average cost of shipping in the region is about $6 to $8 when you do cash on delivery, which is even higher than Europe. My promise to you, in 2 years, we'll bring it down to $2, and then every category will be available. So just working on all the pieces and putting engineers and technology in front of the challenge versus businessmen and traditional, companies that may be good at what they do, but kind of constrained with their current business model and not disrupting themselves.
That's great. There you go, Dom. So we can deliver the second day. It's only $2. She can try it at home and return it the second day. So you have a solution for your brands.
Just one point I wanted to add on, let's say a brand.com. I mean, what is important for a brand.com is to represent oneself in line with the brand equities. But really everything in terms of back end and logistics and all the challenges that you were talking about are basically not the area of expertise or the focus that ultimately we have products that we want to provide to consumers, and then the expert in that, a retailing expert, is the person who who will provide or at least give the chance or the opportunity for consumers to purchase them there. So for us, it's really about representing the brand in the right manner. And if that happens on, with pure players or retailers.com, e-retailers, then that's great with us, for us also.
That's great. So it seems that, in between the brands, the retailers, and the e-commerce, it's challenging, but we're finding a way. What's next, Merve? How are you convincing more mothers to buy their diapers online?
Mary, as you know that the channel is already growing. So e-commerce channel is already growing disproportionately in our region. So what's next? The consumers are already there. As we said that they are already digitally focused. So we have the highest YouTube views per internet user, highest penetration. All our consumers, they have 2 mobiles and so on. So the fundamentals are there. So, but there are some opportunities. There are some opportunities to grow in this channel. So today, when we look at consumers, 60% of our consumers, they are searching online, but they are not buying online. So they are searching, they are looking at the product benefits, they are comparing the prices, and so on, but they are not buying online. So what we need to do is that to better understand them, and the barriers why they are not buying online. So we need to bring the better digital platforms, the digital forums, and so on, so to ensure that they buy online. And another thing is that I think the payments is very important in our region. So it's mostly the cash on delivery. So as we see that more and more payment solutions are coming to the region, so this will also help the total e-commerce business to grow further. So I see that those are the 2 buckets of growth in this channel.
Absolutely, and technology as well. We find in Saudi Arabia in particular, 70% is on the app and no longer on the web. Dom, what's next?
I think what is next is I would like to see women and entrepreneurship in the online commerce, because it will open the possibility for women that currently are starting to work in Saudi Arabia. By the way, the reason why, and it's an anecdote about Uber investment by the state government of Saudi Arabia, about $3 billion. The reason why 80% of women use Uber in Saudi Arabia is because their husband can track where they go.
Oh my God.
And they have exactly the journey that was done. This is why it's more popular than taxis.
Yeah.
So this is a country that is still, it's closed, but more women are coming to work. So I believe that e-commerce will offer them a huge opportunity to create their own companies. So we see in our company, we have a good representation of women working with us, because we trade a lot of cosmetics, lingerie, and family stores that are only dedicated for women, so families. So this, in my opinion, at least what I've seen in the past 15 years in the Middle East, and especially Saudi Arabia, will create a huge market for women.
We should
so
talk
it's
to
a great
Maria
opportunity.
from ITSI and ask her how she can help us to do that in Saudi Arabia for sure. Abdo, what's next?
You know better, Mary, but consumers are moving from desktop to mobile, and that's obviously extremely strategic and relevant for us. So we want to continue proposing and launching new products and services to consumers to elevate their experience online. We're gearing up to launch Samsung Pay in our region, and I think that will help us enable the purchase, let's say, the convenience in purchase or faster purchases across the region, and elevate and enrich our product experience for consumers. And I think another important opportunity I'm passionate about is how to better integrate the brand and retail online to elevate the consumer experience across the path to purchase. So today I think we are still in the early stages of communication, engagement, targeting, proposing specific propositions. And I think that other parts of the globe are more advanced, but we want to invest in that capability. And I think reaching consumers with the right message at the right time is is a great experience for them and obviously will help us build our business.
I think I'd like to ask Ruskar, as heading the investments in emerging markets in the internet, what is next?
Thanks, Mary. So I just want to quote a statistic that I heard quite recently. Anybody want to estimate the smartphone penetration in Nigeria today? I'll give you the quick answer. I heard one number. It's not 80, it's 10% smartphone penetration in Nigeria today. And the telecoms are estimating that number is going to go to 90% in 3 years. That's a mind-boggling number, if it's true.
I speak Hausa, by the way, if you want to send me to Nigeria.
So it's not a development story at this point, it's a financial story. And we've been talking about retail, right? Just looking at retail, Nigeria, we think, will never develop the retail infrastructure that a place like Saudi or Europe has. But it's beyond retail, because consumption isn't just retail. We consume health, we consume education, and we're seeing that the consumers in emerging markets are seeking personalized, distributed services, and we really think that's the future. E-commerce, retail is, but it's also all manner of other services being consumed online in a personalized manner. And it's terribly exciting because we don't know what that looks like, but we know that the innovation is happening in these markets.
Thank you. What an amazing way to end our panel. Thank you. Thank you, Abdo, Dom, and Merve. Thank you very much, IFC, for giving us this chance.